What's good, everybody? I'm excited because this is the very first podcast episode. This is the What's Good podcast, Hollywood's #1 mental health podcast. And today we have a very exciting guest here. We have a reality star, Tick Tock superstar as well, and all around amazing person, wife, mom. She does it all. So I'm excited to have the BunnyBarbie on the podcast. Bunny, what's good?
I am very excited to be here, and I am very honored to be the first guest here.
Yeah, this is the very first guest of what I hope to be a very successful podcast.
A very successful podcast.
It's a special one for me, so it's a great honor to have a friend and somebody who's also gonna take off in this space.
I know.
So
I feel like our careers, although they're in totally different realms, we're like heading towards the same path.
It is with content creation. Like you see all these different companies putting a lot of money into content creation.
Yeah.
Like it's going to be the next big thing. So It's awesome to see, two influencers. I am an influencer. I have to accept that, but two influencers pushing in this space and, getting ready to do great things.
Yeah. And I think we're both very serious about our careers.
Right.
So, some people just do it for fun and want to be hot on TikTok.
It's not a game. No, this is for real. This is not a game at all. It's for real. So how would you describe yourself? So for somebody who doesn't know who you are, my community, they know who you are. They recommended you to me.
Yeah.
But for somebody who does not know who you are, who is the BunnyBarbie?
The BunnyBarbie is a self-made woman, I think, just all around. Okay. I really focus my personal life on being a wife and a mom. And, me and my husband leisurely fly our own private jet. And we have 3 homes that are all in different time zones. So we're in Florida, California, and Wyoming. And I homeschool my son. We're vegan. We're just a little alternative, I think. For me, it's
nothing
normal.
wrong with that, yeah.
For me, it feels very normal. Like when I talk to people, like, this is not normal. I'm like, okay, now I kind of get why there's some interest there, I have a children's curriculum. I have a podcast. I own an influencer merchandise management company that I help other influencers sell merchandise. And I just started producing and launching my own reality show that will be on YouTube.
Yeah, that reality show is very exciting, interesting. We'll get into that because we have to. But let's rewind and go back to where you said you're a wife and you're a mom. So I've seen some of your TikToks, and the thing I like about you is you embrace the hate.
Yeah.
And you actually reply back to people's comments.
Yes.
So what are some of the main negative comments that you get about you being a wife and a mother and people talking about your son? And does it hurt your feelings when people say that?
I'd say it really irritates me when people talk about my son. Even specifically, like, I try not to put him a lot out there because I just feel like that should be his decision later on in life. But it's more about my parenting and stuff that I kind of put out there, like letting him wear pink. Like, people were so upset that he's wearing a pink suit. I'm like, he looks adorable. Like,
He's rocking it too.
I know.
Yeah,
and like, he likes to match me. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's not even necessarily that he's like, I like girly things, I like pink. Like, no, he just wants to look cute, you know? And I paint my nails. I'll let him paint his nails too. If, like, it's just not a big deal to me. And I don't understand why there's such a stigma, like, you're making your kid gay, or like, you're gonna, like, but who would even care if he is? You know what I mean? At the end of the day, like, I just want him to do whatever makes him happy. And that's, something, and people are, very mean.
I like that because a lot of times you see people say things like, kids like that are raised in fatherless homes. He has a dad who's there, who's co-signing on all of this, so clearly, like, he's not being set up to be gay, but if that was his choice, then that's fine.
But even like kids that grow up in families with 2 moms, they're also, like, my nanny has a wife and they had a child, and he's not gay. It's not making kids gay by being around gay people. Like, that's not how that works.
It's a good thing that you have the platform to be able to shoot down these myths and rumors and things, because people, like, especially us being in LA, when they see something on TikTok, if it's a big influencer, they think that that's just how it is, and they'll make up this thing in their mind to where, oh, you're pushing this gay agenda, or you're doing this, but like, you're just parenting.
I'm just trying to make him be like a loving person, regardless regardless of who he loves or anything else in his life. And also with the homeschooling, I get a lot of hate too.
Right.
And so just people are just like, he's going to be socially awkward and like he's like all this stuff. I'm like, he's literally the friendliest and most outgoing kid I've ever met in my entire life. Like we live in this building, like everyone calls him the mayor of the building. Like
I can see that.
He literally walks up to like
yeah.
7-foot basketball players at where we live, and he's like, "Hey, I'm Aiden." Like, you know, like he's literally not shy. So I just don't.
He has a good personality.
Yeah, like he's just very outgoing. Like he's the star, not me.
Yeah.
So.
And how much of how you parent comes from your childhood? You know, I've seen you talk about it a little bit, and obviously your son's a male, so his experience will be different from yours. But your childhood was much different from his.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your childhood.
I would say, although my childhood, I would say, was more of a negative experience, I think I've turned that into more of a positive to where, like, especially even with, like, homeschooling, like, he's not going to have to deal with, like, bullying and just, like, people he doesn't want to be around. Like, he's going to choose who he wants to spend his time with. Right. And I never really had that option. And so I think that also kind of spun me into a dark path when I was younger. And I think just having two parents that are really literally there physically with him all of the time and genuinely care about who he is as a person is just going to change who he is. Yeah. You know, like if I were to just send him into school and, you know, you really only see, like they say you have, like the time you get to spend with your kids, it's only 18 summers. Like that's it, you know? And like I genuinely get to spend all the time with him, which is really special to me. And
so take me back to, how you were raised. So you're from Albany, New York.
I'm from Albany, New
York. Which is very different from Los Angeles. Yes. So how did you get from Albany to LA? Was this always a plan?
I always knew that I was not meant to be in Albany. It's a very... I don't know many people that live there and have a positive experience growing up. I just find that it's very, like, people are more hateful and just, there's lots of crime and just a very negative space to be in over there. But it's also weird because it's also the capital of New York, so there's lots of politicians and stuff too, but at the same time there's lots of not good stuff going on. And I also think I involved myself. My friends growing up were, not the best people, or you could
make better choices.
Yeah, and
it happens to all of us. Yeah,
I was kicked out of high school for fighting.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw your video, and I was watching the video. As I was watching your video about her fighting in high school, all I was thinking to myself was, I hope she won the fight. And then I saw something about a teacher, like.
So I was like, it was like a whole series of events. So I think I had gotten in a few fights. And I got in a fight with this girl who, she was like throwing popcorn at me behind me. She was like bullying me, right? And I had turned around and I fought her. And then
like fist fight?
Yes. And then I don't want to like legally get out of just, I don't want it to bring it back up eventually, right?
All right?
I was young, but like, I don't know. So then the next day or like later that day, I'm sitting in a classroom and my friend came in. She was like, oh, she's in the hallway. So I ran out of the classroom and the teacher chased me. She was holding onto the back of my hoodie. And because I dragged her, because I was running and she was holding onto my hoodie, I got charged or whatever with assaulting a teacher. Okay. And so they had like bad girl school that you like get kicked out
Alternative school.
Yeah. And so my friend who ended up fighting the girl when we walked out of the classroom together, she ended up fighting her. She got kicked out and went to bad girl school. And since she was there and we jumped the girl together, even though I never touched her at that point, I wasn't allowed to go to that school. And so I actually, which probably for me was a really bad option, it's probably good for most kids, so I wasn't allowed to be in the school while other kids were there. So I went at like 3 p.m. like 2 days a week for like 2 hours, and that was my entire rest of my high school experience. And other than that, I literally partied every single day. I would go in there hungover. Like it was madness.
So partying in Albany, they had parties there?
I started clubbing when I was 12.
I saw that and I almost didn't believe that, but I know. 12 years old.
It was really, I had a really wild childhood.
Right. Can you even get into a club at 12? Or?
Yeah, my first ID was a black girl's ID and they literally did not care and they let me in.
So they looked at it and they're like, okay, this looks like her.
No, they didn't care. They were just like, whatever.
So you can get in at 12. I've heard of 15, 16, but at 12 years old.
I was really young.
And this is like in the early 2000s, right?
Yes, my year's in 90, so 12 was like 2002?
2002, right.
Yeah.
Wow. And what do your parents say about all the clubbing and all that?
You know, I wasn't really speaking to my dad at that point. My mom, I think, just didn't want to believe it or didn't care.
Right.
And I just kind of lived my life. Like, I feel like I've just felt like I was an adult, but which is like ironic because I do feel like I was mature enough at that age, which is, I know most people say that like you're not mature at that age. Like I literally felt that way. I felt that way, and I still feel like I was very, very mature for me at a young age. Probably from all the, I don't know, fighting and stuff that I with my parents.
And so do you feel like childhood trauma ages you in a sense?
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah. So you were 12, but you felt like you were what, 18? 30?
Same. I feel the same I think I make different choices now being a mother and a wife.
Right.
But beyond that, I feel the maturity level, I was the same then that I am now.
Really? At 12 versus what, 30?
Yeah.
Wow.
I know, it's wild.
So you saw a lot growing up, and that has definitely impacted you.
For sure.
Wow. And so how did you turn it around? Because that was you at 12, you know, you were getting to all these fights, and now you're the BunnyBarbie and you're flying jets on TikTok.
I know.
How'd you get to this point?
It's, I think at some point when I ended up moving out of Albany, I was 18 and I moved to Florida. My grandpa was sick and I moved down to take care of him. And then I just started... So in Albany, I wasn't like the pretty girl. Like I was like the rough fighter girl.
Right.
And then
I can't imagine that, but okay.
I know. And then I moved to Florida and like everyone just acted like I was the hottest thing they had ever seen. So it was a really weird adjustment for me. Mm-hmm. And I think because of that, I just started to shift my mindset and not really be like the rough, I'm going to fight you. I mean, I still ended up getting in fights throughout my late teens, early 20s.
Okay.
At nightclubs and stuff. But I just turned it into more of like, I guess like I'm too pretty to fight you, or like just kind of changed it into, you know, like I'm the shit, and like just kind of changed my mindset instead of being like, I've had this terrible life, this is so bad, like I'm miserable, depression, young, to like, I literally genuinely didn't care about anything. Like I didn't care if I lived or died or whatever. So I just partied every single day. I traveled the world. I like dated lots of people. I just went really wild.
And how did you use therapy? Like how did you get to the point where you...
I have never done therapy. I should probably do therapy.
no, because it's interesting. The things that you're saying, like you took the negative childhood and you turned it into a strength. Yeah. Like, oh, I've been through this. So because I've been through this, I can go through whatever. Yeah. I'm ready for it. So that type of cognitive reframing, they teach you that in therapy. So I'm trying to figure out, like, what was the moment? Did you have, like, an epiphany where it just kind of switched for you?
I think I just slowly realized that, like, specifically, like, with men and, like, older men, because I had always dated older men, that, like, they didn't really like the roughness of who I used to be. So like if I turned it into softness, then like more, you know, like I got things handed to me by doing that. So I think it just mentally over time kind of reframed the way I thought about life and stuff.
So let's say, you know, on TikTok, right, dating and you know, those tips, confidence for young women, what would you say, you know, in order to date successfully?
You have to think you're the shit. Like you have to genuinely think that like you are unstoppable and like anyone is lucky to be with you. I mean, that's the only reason my husband fell in love with me, 100%.
Really?
Oh my God.
I did
not put up with his shit. Like I was like, if you are not going to be the person I need you to be, I'm leaving.
Wow.
I left him twice when we first started dating.
I saw that and I almost had to call him off air and say, is this true? Because I'm like, okay, like he's such an easygoing guy.
He is.
And I'm not a relationship matchmaker, but I feel like when you have somebody who's like a bunny and then an easygoing person is better than to have two people who are like
too strong together. I have usually, before him, I usually only dated really strong personalities, more aggressive men, and it never worked out well.
Right. I think like the dynamic between the two of you all is it works out really well. Like he's laid back and calm, and you have enough energy for the both of y'all. Yeah. For the three of y'all, including your son.
Yeah. Well, he's got a lot of energy now too.
Okay. And how'd you meet your husband?
We met through mutual friends in Miami. Everyone always thinks it's like this really interesting story, and it's not. But what is interesting, so he had, I haven't driven in years, and even before I met him, a car. And when we went to go on our first date, I was like, I don't drive. And he was like, oh, I'll just have my driver pick you up. And I was like,
oh, wow.
A driver? Okay. Like, that's my dream, you know? So then
you're hooked then, right?
His driver picked me up, and he looked at me in the rearview mirror, and he was like, he's going to fall in love with you. And I was like, what? And I had just gotten out of a relationship 3 weeks before.
Okay, wow.
And I was like, I'm so ready to be single. I was 23. Like, I was just like, I just want to be single.
So why'd you accept the date though?
I mean,
you just might as well. Okay.
Driver, like it wasn't. Yeah. We weren't going on like a date. It was more like we literally like I think we actually went to dinner and then went to a strip club to hang out. Like it was literally just like take me out, let's have fun, whatever.
Typical Miami night, right?
We met in Tampa for dinner, and then he that dinner that night he was like, oh yeah, like I'm a pilot. Like, do you want to go to LA? Later this week? And I was like, yeah, of course, and that was kind of like my lifestyle in general anyways, but I thought it was really cool. Like, yeah, like of course you're gonna fly me to LA. So like that same week that I had met him, this is not safe. I'm just saying this. Don't do this. I did a lot of things because
I got a point
that weren't safe that I did. I did a lot of traveling with men that I probably should have known more before I traveled with them. But we left that week. We went to New Orleans for a night. We went to Vegas for a night. Right. And then we went to LA. And while we were here, we were both on the same page. Like, he had been single for almost a year. And he was like, I don't want a girlfriend. And I was like, I do not want a boyfriend. I literally like this just fun. Right.
Right.
And so the first night we had gotten to LA, there was this girl who we had went out with a big bunch of people. There was a girl who was being mean to another girl because she was French and had a foreign accent. And she was like literally making fun of her accent.
Right.
And I started fighting with the girl that was mean to her. I literally don't know either of them. And I'm
like fist fight or
just like verbal. Like,
verbal,
so I was like really mad. Like, you cannot talk to someone like this. She has an accent. Like, who cares? Like, it's hot, And so I was like being like aggressive with the girl. And then I just remember I woke up the next morning in bed and he was like, will you be my girlfriend? And I was like, what? Like, I thought this was casual. And I think the whole thing had kind of turned him on to the point where he really liked me.
It was a turn on.
Yeah.
So this all happened in the span of like a week or two.
Oh yeah, week and a half.
This is like the greatest week and a half of all time.
We've literally been together. I broke up with him twice for 1 week each, but we've lived together since.
But it was like a fake breakup, right?
No, it was a real breakup.
A real breakup.
Both times.
Like,
for 1 week each.
Did you leave, like take all your belongings?
Moved out, gone.
Okay.
Wow. For a week.
And it's funny that you mentioned that because, we have this term called love bombing. Have you heard of that?
No.
It's where like you meet somebody, right? And then you're like, oh, I like this person. And a lot of times narcissistic people or people with narcissistic traits, you might use that to where you meet a girl or a girl meets a guy. Normally it's a guy meeting a girl. And you give her all these gifts and you introduce her to a lifestyle that's like unheard of to her, right? So for like 2 or 3 weeks, it's like a fairy tale, and after that, you pull back the ropes, and it's like manipulation, like 101. Like, this is one of the evilest things you can do.
Yeah.
But it looks like it's different here because like it looks like he kept that energy the whole way through.
Yeah.
That's remarkable.
I know. Well, I really stood my ground. Like he has an ex-wife and 2 children who I got along with right away. I loved her. And then
that's fantastic.
Also had an ex-girlfriend who he was with after the ex-wife who I hated.
Right.
And she was very mean to me. And that was like that was the only reason we were broke up those 2 times, because he just would not stop like I'm like, this is too much for me. Like, I'm a 23-year-old. Like, this is way too much baggage. Like, the ex-wife and the kids, like, I get it. But like, the ex-girlfriend, like, there's like a line that needs to be drawn at some point. And I remember after the second time, after we broke up, and he was like, listen, like, I'll be like done. Like, I don't need to talk to her. She doesn't need to be my friend. Like, all this stuff, like lots of stuff happened in between then. But at the last point, I remember him saying to me, like, if you wouldn't have like put your boundaries up and like stuck by them so hard, like, I don't know if we would be together, because like he like respected me more at that point.
And I agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
And that's,
I don't even know if he remembers saying that, but he did.
no, but I can guarantee that he said that because like guys, you want, you know, your lady to be agreeable and like come into your life and enhance your life, but you can't walk all over her.
No.
And like I'm thinking,
there's got to be a point.
The boundaries, and like I'm thinking back to one time I had an argument with an ex-girlfriend, and I don't really raise my voice, not that I know of, but apparently I raised my voice, and she said, "Don't ever raise your voice at me again."
Yeah.
And I had just a little bit of fear, which is a turn on, which allowed us to
fear of losing her.
Fear of losing, yeah, and also like she stood up for herself. I had never seen that, and you is like the government needs checks and balances.
Yeah.
So you in a relationship, like of course you're gonna need somebody to hold you accountable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's remarkable. And now y'all have been together for how many years?
I've been with him since I was 23 and I'm 30.
So 7 years.
Yeah.
Okay. And a lot of people don't know that you can fly planes.
Yes, but I also don't drive a car, which I think people find is really funny.
So if
my husband's never seen me drive a car, never, not once.
I guess that answers my next question. I was going to ask if you could drive us from here to Malibu, you couldn't do it.
Oh my God, no.
So you can't drive anymore.
It's not a skill that I want to have.
Oh, okay.
I feel like I can focus on just so much in my life, and just driving is just not one. Like I have like a fear of like backing up in a driveway and like hitting a child or something, you know, like I just don't want the responsibility of driving.
But you can fly.
But I can fly an airplane. But it's a lot easier in the sense of hitting things and dangerous, you know, things that you could potentially do.
Yeah. No, driving a car is
very
more
dangerous
than it's the most dangerous thing you'll do every day, probably for the average person.
It's scary to me. I've been in lots of accidents. Like I just don't like it.
So, when's the last time like you flew the plane like independently? Do you do that? You fly the plane like by yourself?
So I fly a smaller airplane independently,
the prop plane,
a more prop plane that has one engine, and they're not as safe to fly. But I flew the jet. I think it was before COVID, so maybe a year and a half ago, like right before COVID.
Okay.
I went up with an instructor, and I just did a bunch of landings and takeoffs. That's
remarkable. Oh, and so y'all travel. I mean, when I was talking to your husband off air, you all travel with the jet as your primary mode of transportation.
Yes.
The whole family.
Like more so than a car, yeah.
Okay, so how do you all feel about like your family's like legacy in case anything happens? Because the royal family, to my knowledge, I could be wrong on this, but I think they don't all fly together. Like they might split up like half and half.
You know, it's funny. My husband's ex-wife will not let both of the two parents be on the airplane if both the kids aren't on the airplane, more so because of like if something were to happen there'd be like one kid left. But we normally just fly as a family. I try not to think about it because I don't want to put that energy out there. So like his ex-wife is very like, oh my God, like everyone, but she's had a lot of death in her life and her immediate family members, so I think that's why she's like that. And I'm kind of come from like I just live life the way it's supposed to be lived.
Got it. And it's funny because when about 2 weeks ago I met up with your husband and we're gonna go up in the private jet. We didn't go up because I know.
Little fun fact: he is friends with my husband. So.
Yeah, super cool guy, great guy. And I never told him that. Like as I was driving to the airport, like I was so anxious. Like I was like, it was such like a new thing, like to be on a jet.
Yeah.
Even though it's much safer than driving a car, so it's such a different world.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so the fact that you can fly an airplane but you can't drive a car.
I know.
Is like that right there makes you stand out versus any other like TikTok star. I'd say.
I know. I know you really like the airplane thing. You think it's. I know. I should post about it more. I just.
No. It's cool to me because like it's the ultimate freedom.
Yeah,
like
it really is.
Normally, like even if you have the money to get a private jet, you call somebody. But if you can fly it yourself, that's.
And you normally need two pilots.
Right.
We have the largest airplane you can have having one pilot. So like my husband can independently just, take off and leave whenever we want. Which like, in Florida, if we've got a hurricane, it's literally like we're season. Going,
Okay. So you're in Florida, you're in LA, and then you're in Wyoming. Okay. So why the 3 houses?
That's a very good question. Before COVID, I was like, I'm never getting a second home. I do not want a second home. We can have one house and we can travel all around. Because we used to live in Beverly Hills and Florida before I had my son. And then I was like, I don't want to have 2 homes having a baby. And then my husband, it was honestly beyond the ex-girlfriend thing, which was years ago, this was the only thing that him and I would fight about, is like me saying that I don't want a second home, and he wants another home. He's like, I want a place to go, and like I want a reason to go somewhere. I was like, I want to go to Europe on Tuesday, or like, you know, I want to do like more different things. And then COVID happened, and it was around September. We had gone to South Carolina. His friends had bought a house at this like lake. It was literally in the middle of nowhere, and it was on a lake. And we went there, and I was like, he's like, I'm buying a house here. I'm like, I'm never coming back here. Like, I can't even drive. Like,
South Carolina,
there was no restaurants. Like, the restaurant was like, the grocery store was 45 minutes to an hour away. Like, I was like, how am I going to live here? Like, it just doesn't make sense for someone who doesn't drive a car, you know?
Wow.
So we were like, you know, it was kind of like this was like in September during COVID. And then we had auctioned off a year before at this private jet community. This sounds so bougie. A week stay at this private airport in Wyoming. It was at like the owner's house. And like, it was honestly almost a joke, because it was like, you get to shoot like wild game, like whatever. Like, it was like, he was like, we're vegans, right? So he's like, it was almost a joke that we were like, whatever, we'll go to Wyoming. I actually really didn't want to go. The day we landed there, it was so cool. It's just like the coolest place ever. We have to take you.
Okay.
I gotta come through. It's like, you know, like Batman. Like, there's just all these modern homes that have airplanes outside and helicopters. It's all in a private. You have to be a pilot to own land there. So everyone's a pilot. Everyone just has cool toys, and they're all very wealthy. And it's just like a really cool environment to be in. So we were there for less than 24 hours, and we put a deposit on land, and we got it.
And that was enough to sell you on it, Wyoming.
And our friends, it was like the next morning I woke up, and our friends that live in Florida actually lived in the house across the street. It was like 100 feet walk. And she texted me in the morning. She was like, can we take Aiden up in the helicopter? And I was like, I got to move here. Like, he's just going to love growing up here. Okay. Yeah, like we literally walked to their house like 10 steps, and then got in the helicopter and like took off. So it was just like, this is meant to be. That's
a whole different world. And because I do want to ask you about motherhood and all that, but with the life that you live, right? And the thing is, your husband has worked hard to get to this point. You've gone through a lot to get to this point, and you're helping people out by showing how to deal with, you know, hate online and things like that. Do you ever fear about people being, you know, judgmental because of your lifestyle and having money?
They already are. Okay. But at the same time, I feel like I think what makes me a little bit different from being like a regular rich person is that I was poor before I was rich, and I was rich before I was famous, which is very rare. Usually, like in the public eye, they become famous.
Yeah, I see that.
And then they get rich from becoming famous. But I already had wealth before fame. So I was already like adjusted. Like, I wasn't like, oh my God, I need to buy Gucci bags to post a YouTube video on it. Like, I literally don't care, you know? So I think I'm in like a weird, you know, spot. Like, yeah, I have a jet, but I also, you know, I like buying shoes at Macy's for $20, you know, like I just, I'm not like a big brand or very like, I'll never own a Birkin. Like, I just really like, I think in some ways I'm really humble, and then, but I enjoy flying airplanes. But I also don't know, I don't think we would have an airplane if we weren't flying it. I don't think that would be
you put
for
it to
us.
Use. Yeah.
Like, I think it's more of like an enjoyment and hobby versus something to show off with.
Right. And I can see that, because the difference between you and like other, I don't know what the term is, socialites, or, you know, in Hollywood, like your following, like I heard about you from my community, like the people really, really like you, so they can connect to you.
I think they feel, like more connected with me, because I didn't grow up rich. I wasn't handed everything. Like, I really, you know, built everything between me and my husband ourselves. So it's just, you know, it's more like, I don't think I would never be with like a trust fund baby. Like, that just would not happen. Like, like that person and I have nothing in common, you know? So that's why I think my husband and I also have a very good foundational relationship, because we kind of know what it's like to be without.
And in terms of, you know, motherhood and COVID, how has the pandemic affected you as not only as a mother, but also as a wife?
Honestly, I loved it in the beginning. We were already a homeschooling family. and I have a children's curriculum, so I gave it away for free for all moms in the beginning of COVID, because I knew that there was like there was just nothing that they were used to their kids going to school. So I just gave them tons of activities and stuff that they could do with their kids for free, because I was like, listen, like we're all in this weird situation, you know. And I like took a whole week right at the beginning of COVID, and I had a party with my son every day. Like we went outside because we live on the beach, right? So I blew up like a big bounce house, and I would just like play with him outside like the whole time. And then I was like, okay, I need to like work now and like kind of, and then I started Tick Tock as well, you know. And
during the pandemic. Yeah. Oh, okay.
And so you know, it was just adjusting to, I don't know, a new life. It was a little scary, I think, for my husband and his businesses. Like, you just don't know what's going to happen.
There's a lot of unknowns.
You never know what's going to happen. And he's very, he looks 10 steps forward. Right. So he's just, you know, he literally, like, kept, like, was really working really hard during the beginning, because he was just like, I don't know what's going to happen, you know. But everything, you know, it's good. It ended up being really good for us. And I can't say anything bad about it, because I think that so many people were in really tough situations, and all I can say is like, I feel for them. Like I'm never going to complain about having more time with my family at home. So. Okay.
So you feel like your relationship with your husband got better during the pandemic because you had more time together, or?
Same. I say no difference.
It was the same. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, honestly, I think he ended up working more during the beginning of the pandemic than he usually did. So I saw him a little bit less, but I spent a lot of time with my son. So
right. So it didn't. You were able to find ways to maintain.
We never had relationship. Like, I mean, literally, maybe we'd fight over where we want to eat for dinner, or like order out, but that's like it.
Yeah, because that was a big thing for people during the pandemic.
Yeah, like but they're not. We're used to being together all the time.
Right.
So it was, you know, just, I mean, it was more, the only thing, it was actually a little bit like like people who help around a house, like we had 2 nannies at the time and 2 people that come clean the house. And it was just like adjusting to like, you know, still paying them but, you know, and like being in the house kind of alone more. So it was just, you know, I mean, that was a little different, but other than that, it was the same.
And that's when you started your TikTok journey, like in the pandemic.
Yeah.
And how's that been? So it's almost a year later, 1.4.
I'm gonna hit 1.5, I think, soon. I'm like 9,000 away. So.
Oh, you should get it within a week.
I know. I'm excited.
So by the time this is out, it'll be like 1.5 million followers. Wow. So how did you learn about TikTok? What made you want to go on that?
So in December, before COVID, my stepdaughter is turning 21, so she was like 19 at the time, and she made like a Christmas video of us like on TikTok, and I was like, oh, this is kind of cute, but like never gonna download it.
Right.
And then you know, I had the original TV show, and they were coming to my house. I remember I filmed like my first TikTok the week that COVID started. It was just like me in my closet. I don't know, dancing, or I was not dancing, but like, I don't know, something about my husband. And then I just, you know, the TV show was put on hold because of COVID. And I really had the thought in my head that I needed to put my personality out there, so once people see me on TV, they don't think I'm like this like nasty mean girl, because they can paint you to be whatever they want. So that really was the reason I started TikTok, because I was like, okay, like when people watch the show, they'll be able to like look back at my videos and be like, okay, like maybe she's a nice person, and like she's cool, you know, like whatever, because I'm just expecting everyone to hate me, which they kind of did on TikTok anyways. But yeah, I just really wanted people to know who I am for the TV show, which thankfully I did that, or else I'd be in a totally different position at this point. Right,
because now you have the option to do it on your own, and you are doing that.
Correct.
So can you talk about the YouTube series that we have coming out?
Yes. So Legally Bunny will be launching on YouTube. It's thankfully, like, it's been crazy to produce and launch my own show. I think being in the business, they really put me on hold for it was like 2 years, and just learning a lot about the back ends. And I've just literally talked, like every person I meet, I talk to them about it. Like, I'm just like, what would you do? You know, like, should I pitch it to a network? Should I put it on YouTube? You know? And my PR team about 2 months ago really wanted me to pitch it to a network, and I was in this weird space of like, I had already filmed it kind of for YouTube, and now I'm pitching it to a network, and it just like, I would say 3 weeks ago I was like fuck this. I'm putting it on YouTube and I'm going full force. So I've decided, and I know that I can get like the sponsorship. I want to make it free. I don't want to charge anyone for it. Like,
it'll blow up better that way if it's just free.
And like Martha Stewart, like she does all her videos that are like, you pay a membership and you can watch all her videos and stuff like that. And I just didn't want to do that, especially being someone who has money. Like, I don't want to charge my audience $5 to watch my video.
The public perception.
Yeah, like it just, even to me, it seems like, why is she doing that? You know? So I just really want to get brand sponsorships and place them, you know, in the beginning of the videos and really sponsor them. And then I can just, you know, have them pay for the filming, not necessarily even make money on it, just have them pay for the filming and then continuously put out really good quality content. And I just think there's not anything out there like that. Like, it's just so
I haven't seen anything
negative. Yeah. Like, the reality shows are just so like, oh my God, she's fighting with her. And like the whole thing is just about that. It's not like funny family. I think the only thing closest to it is Kardashians, because they do a lot of stuff that's not just drama. But yeah, I just want it to be more happy and inspiring than.
And I saw in one of your viral videos, people were saying that you sound like Kourtney Kardashian. Do you think?
I don't think I sound like her at all. I mean, I say like maybe the way that.
Because I'm not picking up on Kourtney Kardashian.
Me either.
But I can't even think of how she sounds.
I think they have deeper tones of their voice than me. And like for me, like I can literally hear someone's voice and I know who's talking. So I think for me, like I literally can, like when I hear her voice, I don't hear me at all, you know? So, I mean, I can like lower my voice and like talk a little bit slower, and I think.
Okay, all right.
But then that's not how I talk, you know? So it's to me, it was like shocking. And then it was really scary for me, honestly, when people started commenting saying that I sounded like a Kardashian. I'm like, oh my God, I have a fucking TV show coming out.
You don't want to like.
Sorry, I'm cursing.
No, you're good. You're good. You don't want to align yourself with them because like you're in LA during Calabasas.
Like I have like a TV show coming. Like I don't want to seem like I'm trying to be the next Kardashian, right? Even though there's lots of similarities in like our in our path, I would say. And so I just didn't want to like sound like them or like try to think that people think that I'm trying to sound like them.
You're doing it on your own.
Yeah.
So this is all internal, in-house.
All in-house.
Okay, so you're a mother, you're a wife, you're a Tick Tock producer, you're a pilot. You do all these things. How do you manage your mental health while like juggling like a million different things?
Honestly, I really think that me and my husband have been talking about this. Especially because my son's really into space. I know this sounds super weird, but the more that I think about, we're literally on like a rock. Like there's no meaning to life. There's nothing, you know?
You don't think so? There's no meaning?
I think everything happens for a reason, but I don't think there's like, you know, you just have to live like there's no tomorrow. Like you just want to have a good day every day. Like you can either wake up and look at spilled water and get mad, or you can just be like, oh, it's spilled water.
Right. So more like a glass half full mentality.
Half full, but almost like ignoring the glass. Like I'm ignoring the glass. Like the glass doesn't exist to me. Like there's no good or bad. Like I'm just living my life in a happy moment every day.
You almost have to do that because when you're in this space, like being in LA, you know, it's hard to explain LA to family members back home. Like it's its own world. Yeah. People call it a simulation. It's a bubble. Right. It's a bubble. And to stay like grounded. Mentally healthy and grounded, and because in order for you to be successful, you have to have longevity. It's always interesting. Like I'm always wondering how people are taking care of their mental health, like how people are approaching certain things.
I mean, I also I think it's a little bit different. Like I mean, you're single, right? So it's there's more to it. There's dating and, you know, picking up on more people's energies that I don't really have to deal with. I literally you know, can go to events, go to dinners, and then come home to my loving family. So it's a little bit more grounding.
Do you ever worry about your family's privacy? Like, you know, even as a creator, a million followers, like when you go a certain place.
It was really hard in the beginning because like people were calling our office and like, you know, just being mean or nice or anything. And it was like a little bit of adjustment, but now I think we're kind of used to it.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, everywhere I go, I get recognized. Like I literally can't leave the house. If there's a girl between 12 and 30, she's gonna say hi to me. Like, I already know that.
I can believe that. Yeah,
yeah.
My followers are like big bunny people.
Yeah.
I had to figure out what the hype was.
And it's only women. I think it would really bother me if it was a male audience. I think that would feel really scary and aggressive to me. But since it's literally, I mean, I only have 10% male followers, and I would say it's you and gay men. So
we spoke about that.
Yeah.
And since coming to LA, the LGBTQ plus community has been very kind to me.
Yeah.
Like when I'm in the space, like, oh, this is Dr. Kojo, but like they don't question me. Like most straight men, they're like, why is he here? Is he here to like, you know, make fun of us or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very welcoming environment in LA, but it also can be very toxic. It depends who you're spending your time with.
Yeah,
I think it's less toxic as a creator, but you know, as a normal person wanting to move to LA to be a creator, I think it's probably really rough.
Right. I think it's better when you're already established and you come here versus trying to make it here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because everyone wants to make it here.
What are some toxic experiences that you've had in LA?
Oh gosh. I haven't in a long time, but I mean, I also live in this building with lots of characters, and it's just, it's like, I don't know. It's really wild all the time.
But this is the thing, like with content creation, mental health, and privacy. I remember watching a video of yours where you said that people, they found out where you lived. Isn't that scary?
Yes.
Yeah.
But especially the building that I'm in LA, it's like the security is like top notch. Like there's major celebrities and stuff. Right. So it's just, but yeah, I mean, people are crazy. It's really scary. Yeah, you just have to like have good security and really just kind of.
The thing is, you never announced it. Like people looked at the background and figured out where you lived.
Oh yeah, within the first second that I was in that apartment, they knew where I lived.
That's wild.
It's really crazy. But there's because a lot of other TikTokers live there.
Right. Oh, so they
and
see
all
like
the apartments look the same. They still live there.
Got it.
So like it's literally the TikTok building.
Okay. And
you'll probably be moving in soon.
Say again?
You'll probably be moving in soon.
We'll see. I drove past it with Kwame the other day, and I'm like, that's where Blaine and them are at. And he's like, oh my gosh, like LA is this a whole different world.
I know.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. And in terms of like you and your husband and like having this reality show, you know, are there any times when you're like, okay, I don't want this to be on camera? Like, how do you maintain that intimacy and privacy while being like a reality star? Because it's only going to get bigger from here. Like,
yeah.
I believe that, like, obviously I wasn't going to put my 2 cents in just me and you, but like going YouTube, going that route will be way huger than any show. Because people, I don't even watch TV, I watch YouTube.
I know.
So you're only going to get bigger from here on out. So like, how do you...
I don't really have a problem with, I think that's why people like me so much on TikTok is because I genuinely just share everything about my life and my feelings and everything. I think it'll be more of adjustment for everyone around me, like my friends and my family who really don't put themselves out there. But again, they've all kind of been used to this from the past. It's almost been like 2.5 years at this point. So they've been mentally adjusting to putting themselves out there. My husband's ex-wife is like, exactly like me. She is literally open about anything. Like she will tell you her entire life story.
So he got practice beforehand.
Yeah. And so I think my husband will be, he's not super comfortable with sharing everything, but at the same time, he doesn't really care. Like, I think he likes the fact that we're changing so many young girls' lives and their perspective on life and empowerment and stuff like that. He loves that so much. Like, he loves when we go everywhere and that people say hi to me and like cry. Like, it's like, you know, like I'm doing something empowering. But at the same time, he's like, you know, how much do I really want to put myself out there?
True.
So, I mean, I don't think he's going to be, you know, a main focus on the show. I mean, he's also very laid back. I don't think he's that. I don't want to say he's not interesting, but he's just not that
laid back.
Yeah, he's just like, chill. Like he's not
enjoying
gonna
his
be,
own world. Yeah,
he's not going to be like the main focus. I think, you know, my son, my husband's ex-wife, and the 4 other girls on the show will be more of it than. I mean, he's just going to be. I think people like that too. Like he's a little mysterious. You know,
it is, and like the blended family aspect. Yeah. How do you like what's your advice to people who are either co-parenting or, you know, you might have a stepmom or a stepdad? Like, how do you make that work? Because you all, I mean, from what I know, you appear to make it work out really well.
Yeah.
But, you know,
almost too well.
Right.
We spend almost too much time together.
So is that the key to making co-parenting and all that work? I just
think you have to have a mutual respect. Like, I think, you know, maybe like starting out, like when you're first trying to like make your family whole, like, you know, there's always like, weirdness between the exes texting and stuff. Like, just make a group text. Like, just make
I didn't think
everything
about
open,
that.
but
Okay.
open conversation. Like we used to, when I didn't talk to his ex-wife for a few years, she would call him and be like, are you alone? And like that would really make me upset because like what, and it would just be about the kids. It's not like something, you know, but like
just
there's no reason. Like it has to be open communication between everyone, or else it's not going to work. And so, and she's really open, but she was just at that point, we just weren't getting along because she was really good friends with his ex-girlfriend who I was, it was
you
just
didn't like that person.
Chaos. Yeah. But that was like a year, but it's been a while now. It's been like 3 years ago. So
and what advice would you give young women watching your channel? What's the main takeaway point that you want them to know?
You just have to really love yourself because no one's going to love you as much as you. Like you really have to just believe in yourself. And I was the same way. Like girls would be like, I don't know what I want to do in my life. I didn't know what I wanted to do either. Like I was just like partying and like going crazy. But like within that, you just really start to evolve and like putting yourself out there and doing the most things that you can do. Like go to Paris and work at an art store for a year. Like as
a single woman, just go to Paris. And people could do it. Yeah.
I know. Like you just really have to put yourself out there if you want big things in life. And I would not be where I am without the life experience that I have.
Yeah, I completely agree. And people are afraid a lot of times with good reason. You know, safety and being a single woman maneuvering around.
I really had no care for my safety, which is really sad to say. I genuinely did not care, which was very dangerous. I do not recommend this, but I do think putting yourself out there more and just meeting people. And like the more diversity that you have in your friend group with it, if it's, races or ages or anything else, like you're just going to pick up more on life and what really matters in life. Like some of your friends might be Republican, some of them might be Democrat, but like if you can, see the middle of where everyone's coming from. Cause like I genuinely think most people, regardless of their views are insane, I think like they still feel like in their heart it's the good thing to do, even though it might be the craziest thing. Like I still feel like people want to be a good person at the end of the day. So just mixing yourself with all different cultures and things like that.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm always learning. Like I'm watching you, I'm watching my brothers. Like I watch them all the time, and even just watching them has been like a big key to my TikTok success. Seeing like what's relevant for the people in their age group. So like the more you watch, the more you learn.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and in terms of like go ahead.
I was going to say that's what's so good about TikTok is because you're really experienced. You're not just watching people you follow on Instagram. Like you're seeing everyone.
Yeah.
So it's been really amazing.
It's wild.
Yeah.
And about how TikTok changed your life, because you were already, wealthy, but how TikTok changed your life?
It's just like from going out. I don't know if we'd be living in LA again. I think it's a lot of it is here from my work and stuff like that. And I don't know. I mean, I feel like it makes me an even better mom and wife because I'm so much happier in my career too. Like I genuinely feel so emotionally fulfilled from helping young girls or boys, and it just really, I think it makes me a happier person all around.
Okay. And what are some of the comments that you've gotten from people like saying, oh, thank you, Bunny, you've helped me out with blah blah blah? Because obviously like I talk about mental health, and people will say, oh, I've been living with ADHD for all these years, and because of your content, I feel empowered to live my best life.
I think the main two are body positivity, specifically for skinny girls. I think it's been really hard. I think, the beauty standard right now is to have a really nice butt and have big boobs. Like it just is, right? And so there's a lot of girls that are really tiny like me, and they get bullied even from their parents. Like, parents will tell them they need to put on weight and they're too skinny and they look anorexic and they don't look good. And, they see my videos of me even just responding to a hate comment, and they're like, you literally stopped me from killing myself. Like I get at least 10 messages like that a day.
That's powerful.
So it's just, that's a big one. And then also responding to the hate comments also bring those messages too. Like regardless if it's about the way that I look or the way that I act or anything else, like I'll always get messages like this saved me, so, that's and neat. That is very emotionally fulfilling.
And I believe you. And when it comes to body positivity, a lot of times like I look at the comment section on TikTok and they'll say that body positivity is only for people who are outside of like the prototypical beauty standard or
Right.
whatever. So from like one side of TikTok, that includes all skinny women, right? So
but on the other side, they say that skinny women are not involved in that. But the problem is the beauty standard is not stick thin women, right? It is probably someone who's like a size 6 with, voluptuous curves. That's what everyone wants to look like, you know?
I don't know what size 6 is, by the way, but I gotta figure that out.
I'm a size 00, so it's,
oh wow,
it's
00.
Yeah, so I'm really tiny.
So there's a 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, then 00.
Yes.
Or 0 then 00, right?
0 then 00.
Oh wow.
So I'm like literally the tiniest you could be as an adult.
Wow. Okay.
So, but I think I carry myself with confidence that I don't
Right.
look like, but it's just, I think it's been really hard for women to, there's just no, like, it shouldn't be a trend to have a body type. It should, everyone should just love the body that they're in.
And people don't realize, like, even you could be size 6 and you could still have issues with your body.
Of
like,
course.
Body dysmorphic disorder doesn't, like, it doesn't discriminate. It can get you if you're like the beauty standard, or if you're a guy. Even guys who are ripped, still some of them don't like themselves.
I mean, even if I had posted like, oh my God, I'm so insecure about my body, I would get hated on so much.
Yeah.
But I'm not, because I genuinely don't care. Like
Right.
but I think too, because like my husband loves my body, and I genuinely love my body, so it's just, and I think that confidence also annoys people at the same time. They're like, oh yeah, she's the beauty standard, which I'm not.
It does. It does. And that's the thing. Like, I'm a big fan of confidence, and with mental health, I'm always a fan of positive self-talk, taking out the self-limiting beliefs. And it starts with confidence, and it gets to a point where if you're too confident, you can actually rub people the wrong way.
Yeah.
Would you say you get that a lot?
Oh yeah, all the time.
And is that because of the confidence, or is it because of the money or the lifestyle, or just a combination?
The confidence.
The confidence.
Oh yeah, they're just like, which she's too full of herself, and I'm like, I should be full of myself, and I am, because I love who I am, And I think that is such a powerful message to send to these young girls.
It is, and like I said, it's awesome. The cool thing about living in LA, you get to meet with people that like your community like loves, and getting to meet you is great.
I know, it's really nice.
Yeah. And where can people find your reality show and TikTok and all
The reality
these
show
things?
will be on YouTube. It's gonna be the BunnyBarbie is my name on YouTube, and then the show is gonna be called Legally Bunny. Because my name is Legally Bunny. And then my TikTok is at the BunnyBarbie, Instagram at the BunnyBarbie, and
And in terms of the YouTube show, when is the first episode releasing?
I don't have a date, but when I hit 100,000 subscribers, I'm gonna launch it.
Okay, and we're like 39, 40, 40K.
Yep.
Okay, so we have to run the numbers up. Once we get to 100K on YouTube, the first episode releases.
Yep.
Okay.
Which I'm super excited about.
That's awesome. So this is the BunnyBarbie. It's been a pleasure to have you on.
It's been so wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
All right.
They left me on my own when I was in the stick. I cut the heat on 350, run the city with my brother in the distance. I pass it, he never miss it. Hey, I just been in it for a minute. I'm loyal, I'm never switching. My brother, he got a sentence. Don't come to me about your feelings. I really ain't tryna listen. On the road to the riches, I promise I won't forget you.